state of mankind. How much do you know? Excerpts from How the Spectre of Communism is Ruling Our World. 126. There is nothing wrong with envisaging a better world or future, but seeking to establish a world government to solve all of mankind's problems is simply chasing a modern-age utopia, and runs the danger of descending into totalitarianism. An unavoidable issue faced by a world government that aims to truly address global problems is how it actually implements its policies, be they political, military, economic, or other. To push through its policies on a global scale, such a government assuredly wouldn't take the form of a free democracy like that of the United States, but would instead be a totalitarian big government like the former Soviet Union or the Chinese Communist regime. In order to attract countries to join, a world government would invariably offer tantalizing benefits, promises of welfare, and a blueprint of a global utopia for mankind. Its proposition is similar to that of communism and presents itself as the panacea to every country's problems. In order to achieve the utopian ideals of such a vast number of countries and solve complex global issues according to the utopian blueprint, be it protecting the environment or providing security and welfare on a global scale, such a world government would inevitably seek to centralize its power in order to push through its policies. This centralization would elevate the power of the government to an unmatched level, and its control over society would also reach an unprecedented level. At this stage, such a world government wouldn't bother about achieving consensus among its member countries or heed any commitments made to them, but would solely focus on the forceful implementation of its policies. In the world today, there exist great differences among countries. Many countries have neither orthodox faiths nor freedom, not to mention respect for human rights or high moral standards. When countries combine to form a world government, such a government would adopt the lowest standard among them, eliminating any requirements relating to faith and belief, morality, and human rights. In other words, countries would be given a free pass on these issues, using the concept of so-called neutrality in religion, morality, and human rights in order to unite them. A world government would inevitably promote a mainstream culture in order to unify the world. However, each country has its own cultural traditions and religious beliefs. Of all the experts, scholars, and governments that actively advocate a world government, the majority of them are atheists or hold progressive views on religious beliefs. Clearly, a world government would have atheism as its core value, the inevitable consequence, given that communism is the force behind it. To maintain its rule, this world government would forcibly implement ideological re-education, resorting to violence in order to carry this out. In order to prevent fragmentation or independence movements by member countries, a world government would greatly strengthen its military and police forces and tighten its control over people's freedom of speech. The government of a country whose people do not have a shared faith and culture can only rely on authoritarian power, that is, totalitarian rule, in order to stay in power, and the result would be the reduction of individual freedom. Thus, a world government would inevitably be a totalitarian government because it would have to rely on authoritarianism to sustain its rule. In the end, a world government is literally a communist totalitarian project in another guise, and the result would be no different from the communist regimes of today in how they enslave and abuse their people. The only difference would be that instead of being confined to a single country, this totalitarianism would extend to the entire world, with the entire world controlled by a single government, making it even easier to corrupt and destroy humanity. In the process of maintaining its rule, this gargantuan government would progressively employ all the evil methods used by communist regimes. This path toward authoritarianism would also be a process of destroying the traditional cultures and moral values of mankind, which is precisely what communism aims to achieve. From Chapter 17, Globalization, Communism at its Core.